Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
Rakuten is the smartest way to save money when you shop because you earn cash back at over 3,500 stores. Fashion, beauty, electronics, home essentials, travel, dining, concert tickets, and more. Your favorite stores like Lowe's, Levi's, and Nike pay Rakuten to send them shoppers. And Rakuten then passes on a part of that payment to its members as cash back. You're already shopping at your favorite stores. Why not save while you're doing it? It's a no-brainer. Membership is free and easy to sign up. Get the Rakuten app now and join the 17 million members who are already saving. Cashback rates change daily. See Rakuten.com for details. That's Rakuten. Your cashback really adds up.
Your weekly dose of romance and drama has arrived. Season 29 of The Bachelor is here, and Grant Ellis, certified hottie and former day trader, is trading his day job on Wall Street for a second chance at everlasting love. New episodes drop every Monday at 8/7 Central, bringing you fresh twists in Grant's journey to find his soulmate. This self-proclaimed mama's boy is all grown up and ready to invest his heart. Will his playful charm win over the house full of hopefuls, or will the competition prove too intense? From heartfelt moments to adrenaline-pumping dates, each week brings new surprises in the mansion. Will Grant find his perfect match or end up with a broken heart? Tune in every Monday at 8/7 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu for new episodes of The Bachelor.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmie. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you again for joining us on part 2 of this crazy case that just got very, very relevant in the world today.
Unbelievable.
Which is great. We'll get to that at the end of it, but holy shit did this get extremely relevant.
Yeah.
It's crazy. This is our 440th episode.
Yeah.
And, we're just picking them and whatever. We pick this guy, put him in,
right, sure.
and then somehow this guy who no one's ever heard of becomes a national fucking name today, which
National
is
story today.
absolutely crazy the day we're putting this out. So crazy stuff. And before we get to that, definitely head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Get your tickets. 2025 Small Town Murder live tickets are on sale.
Be great.
Get them right now. Head over to the site. All over the place. We're coming some places we've never been before. Grand Rapids, another surprise that we're going to announce very soon where we're going. It's another place we've never been before. Very excited for that. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Also, get yourself some Patreon.
Yeah, why don't
Treat
you?
yourself this holiday season to some Patreon. I'm telling you right now, patreon.com/crimeinsports. It's the best $5 a month you're ever going to spend. $5 a month or above. You get hundreds of bonus episodes that you've never heard before. And then you get new episodes every other week. One Crime and Sports, one Small Town Murder, and you get them all, goddammit. This week is no different. This week, what you're going to get for Crime and Sports, we're going to talk about personal ads again. Yes, they're back by popular demand. Personal ads, more of people's trolling for lovers and relationships in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. Pre-internet dating. Very fun. And then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about the West Memphis 3, specifically how the hell this all happened. There'll be a few bonus episodes down the road of other stuff to do with this, but just the beginning of how did we get to the point where we needed a documentary? How did we get to the point where someone went to Metallica and got them to give music out for a documentary? That's what I'd like to know. So we'll talk all about that, and there's plenty of crazy shit there. That is patreon.com/crimeinsports, and you get a shout out at the end of the show as well. Jimmie will fuck your name all up. So there's that. That said, let's dive back into
Here we go.
Kaboni Savage. Okay. A more fucking apt last name a person has never, ever had in the history of the world. This man is a savage. Absolute savage.
Monster, menace. There's a lot of words.
When we left off with him last week, if you haven't heard part 1, you should probably listen to part 1. But when we left off last week, to give you a little refresher here, Kaboni was awaiting trial for multiple murders here. He murdered people in the street. He murdered people as revenge. He firebombed a house, killed 3 children, 2 adults, and a dog just because he wanted his ex-partner to know that he shouldn't testify against him.
Those were all rats.
And plenty of recordings of him saying that he dreams about killing people's children.
Yeah. It's
literally.
weird.
Yeah. Not Mike Tyson just cutting a promo saying I'm going to eat his children. This motherfucker is like, I dream about shooting his 5-year-old daughter in the head. That's a different thing.
Blowing that little head off.
Yes. Little pigtails flopping about. So here we'll catch up with him in February of 2010. Where this is great. The Philadelphia Inquirer newspaper, their headline is "Drug Boss Gets New Lawyer." Okay, Chester County Defense Attorney Christian Hoye, this guy is. He's a veteran Philadelphia defense attorney, and his other lawyer's gone. And at the same time, he has through this, Kaboni withdraws his request to represent himself.
He's done with that now.
Yeah, he tried to represent himself as we left off, which would have been, I want to hear Kaboni Savage's opening statement more than I want to hear anything in the world, because that shit would be crazy. He is on trial for racketeering and murder, and this could carry the death sentence. So, it's a federal death sentence here. They said there were developments during a short hearing at the court. The judge granted Savage's request to replace his lawyer, so he does that. I guess his old lawyer had represented him in the unsuccessful 2005 drug trafficking case.
Yeah.
And where, Kaboni lost. He said that he patted Savage on the back and wished him good luck after he left the courtroom. And so he said he didn't really feel like he was all that invested in the case.
Not getting caught, I guess.
Good luck in jail, asshole.
Yeah.
So before the hearing, Warrens, the old lawyer, said he was disappointed that Savage wanted to replace him because he thought he could win the case.
Okay.
There's recordings of him talking about, go firebomb these people, and then later, I'm glad we firebombed those people. Like, I don't know what case you're going to win on this shit, dude.
Yeah.
This is wild stuff here. So Savage, in letters to the judge, had complained about his inability to meet with his lawyers here and asked to act as his own lawyer originally here. And in appointing this new lawyer, the judge said he would arrange for Savage to be transported to the federal detention center in Philly for 2 days each month so he could consult with his lawyer in person.
Okay.
Interesting. He was shackled and handcuffed and nodded and smiled at his friends and relatives at the hearing. He's got a big cheering section, too, which is another fucking weird thing here. Unlike a hearing last month at which he alleged he was the target of racial profiling and illegal lynching by investigators and prosecutors he described as Nazis. So
good call. Yeah.
This lawyer said, hey, when we get in there, just shut the fuck up and let me talk.
Enough with the Nazi talk.
Don't talk about, try not to call the judge a Nazi who's going to decide your case. They tend to not like that.
Yeah.
But even if you think he is. But as he was leaving the courtroom in the custody of federal marshals, after the judge left the bench, Savage looked back to his relatives and friends and said, going back to the slave quarters. But he waited for the judge to get out of the room before he did it here. He is in prison on 30 years. He has 30 years in prison on drug trafficking charges from 2005, by the way, here. So as we know. Now, March 2nd, 2010, one of his buddies admits to a scheme to intimidate those who plan to testify. Now he's getting people flipping on him. He's the big fish.
Yeah.
So they're giving out deals to people to testify against him. Right. Which makes sense. And one of his people here, Dawad Bey, remember Dawad Bey?
Yeah,
or B-E-Y, we should call him. Yeah, we should call him Wee Bay, Wood Bay. Wood Bay here. He pleads guilty to a witness intimidation charge, admitting that he and Savage plotted from prison to threaten witnesses and their families to keep them from testifying. This guy's already serving a 10-year sentence for dealing drugs, and now he faces an additional 20 years in prison after this. Which is better than a death sentence, which is what he was up for, as being part of a murder plot.
That's a win, I guess.
I guess it's a win for him. Old Wood Bay got one out here.
Yeah.
So let's see, May 28th, 2010. This is fucking great. Wood Bay here. You know this is a good deal for Wood Bay here. He says, my past is no longer part of my future, as he read from a prepared statement during his sentencing. Here, the judge sentences him to, you, sir, may fuck off 36 months in prison. 3 years.
That's a pretty sweet gig.
Wow, that's a good deal for witness tampering, conspiracy, and all this type of shit. That is wild. I'll tell you what, man. Half of the sentence is to be served after he completes his current sentence. So they're letting half of it run concurrently and half of it consecutively here. That is fucking wild, man.
Jesus.
That's, wow. I don't even know what to say about that. How do you, he was overheard in jailhouse tapes threatening to kill witnesses and shit.
Right. And 3. Okay.
Yeah, that's specifically one incident. Bay on the recorded told Savage about having a confrontation with a guy named Daniels in the prison waiting room regarding his cooperation. We talked about those two meeting. Bay recounted that he told Daniels, "I'm telling you, P, snitching ain't cool. Your ass is on the line. Your life is on the line." 36 months. All right. Shocking. That's wow. The fuck to say about that?
Jesus.
Wow. March 28th, 2011. Kaboni's not happy with his accommodations at the federal detention center. Doesn't like it there. Doesn't like jail. Very weird. Yeah. He said that anything would be better. Even Guantanamo would be better than this, he said.
Would it?
Put me in a fucking 6x8 cage. I don't give a fuck.
A naked pyramid. I'd rather.
That's Iraq, but that's fine. Still.
Wasn't Guantanamo? That was where they did Guantanamo.
Guantanamo's in Cuba.
That's where they did the naked pyramid.
No, that was Iraq. That was in Iraq.
Are you sure?
I am absolutely 100% positive it's Iraq that they did that.
Why did they want to shut Guantanamo for the poor treatment of
prisoners there? It's just poor treatment of prisoners everywhere when it comes to that. But yeah, the pyramid was absolutely in Iraq. That was that was that young lady with the cigarette in her mouth, all that shit.
I thought that was Guantanamo.
No, Guantanamo. There's no pictures from Guantanamo. That's a different type of facility. Right. This was just holding, because that's different. We put different people there.
Abu Ghraib.
Abu Ghraib. There you go.
That's
the
naked pyramid.
Yes, Abu Ghraib. Yeah, thank you.
Yikes.
I couldn't remember the name of it. So, yeah, he said this is worse than Guantanamo.
Okay, well,
Absolutely.
It might be, because there's no naked pyramids there.
It's bad. Yeah, that could be fun. We don't know what they do on a Saturday night. That's how they fuck around. Here, they don't do that shit. He complained about conditions under which he's being held. He says, "I refuse to speak to my appointed counsel under these conditions."
Okay.
He also asked the judge to, quote, "send me to Guantanamo, Cuba, the nearest death row unit, or back to Colorado." Yeah, that's pretty fucking funny.
Well, you don't get to make
That's
demands.
the problem. It's not a hotel where you say, I'd like to be on the side with the view of the pool. You don't get to do that. Like they just give you wherever the fuck they want you here. They said for security reasons, the details of the confinement have not been made public, but he has described it as a lockdown with limited access to other inmates and limited communication and visitation rights with anyone outside the prison, which for what he's done seems appropriate.
Yeah.
If he has any communication, he will have people's houses firebombed. Can we keep this guy under the jail? Is there another bunker unit we can keep this guy in?
Children and dogs inside.
Yes.
He's not scared.
Not at all. That's wild. His new lawyer, said under heavy-duty restrictions, it's natural that he's upset over the conditions of his confinement. Well, yeah, it's natural he's upset by it, but you still have to meet with your lawyers. He said Guantanamo's a better alternative, and he also complained about being confined with known terrorists. This motherfucker's going to make moral judgments?
Evidently.
This motherfucker is going to make...
He's got things to say.
Hey, that guy's beneath me. You killed kids. You intentionally killed children. You are a terrorist is what you are, sir.
Indeed,
period.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane. In a memo filed, he wrote that while in federal prison in Florence, Colorado, he'd been in a restricted prison unit with convicted 9/11 conspirator. Yes, you are with scumbags in a supermax because you are a scumbag. You're all scumbags now together. Have a fucking scum party. I don't know what to tell you. These people were convicted of plotting the 93 World Trade Center attack. Yeah. Sorry. You are you nuts? Wow.
Evidently, yeah.
He said also he was housed with convicted Times Square bomber Fazil Shahzad at the Metropolitan Correction Center in Manhattan. Well, people don't get to complain they're in there with fucking Puff Daddy either. You know what I mean? Sorry, but you're in jail with other scumbags. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
What the
Harvey
fuck?
Weinstein has to be somewhere.
That's what I mean. We got to put him somewhere. He said, quote, "I'm still supposed to be an American citizen." Well, you are, and you're in an American prison.
Away from you. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, you don't get that taken away. If we could, you'd be a good candidate for it. I mean,
I'd love to give you Haitian citizenship.
I don't know where we'd send you. No one would take you. That's the problem. Hey, you want this guy who kills children and dogs? Probably not.
Nobody's drafting you. I mean, that sounds fucking par for the course for some really awful countries.
I was going to say, is there a death squad somewhere that's recruiting? Because he'd be a prime candidate for a high position in one of those outfits.
The Syrian government was overthrown. I'm sorry.
Let's see what's going on there. Oh, fuck. April 7th, 2011 here. There's a guy going to be Nigel Maitland is a guy who fired a shot that killed Sierra Savage, who is his daughter. So Cece. So they caught the guy who did this. Yeah. And again, that was the other thing. His 9-year-old daughter, this wasn't about him at all. This was just, she got caught in crossfire of two rival people shooting at each other, which is honestly bonkers, man. Talk about like that weird Heathcliff fight of violence that goes around. It just pulls everything into it, man.
Bizarre moment that just accidentally takes a child.
That is wild. So that guy is sentenced to state prison for 25 to 50 years.
That seems I don't know, does that seem light?
I don't know. I mean, they didn't intend to kill the child, so.
You fire a gun in a city limit or in a neighborhood.
It's still not premeditated murder of a child.
No, I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying if it's a child, maybe it should be. They should call it aggravated. You know what I mean?
Well, it could be aggravated, but the point is it's premeditated, and just because it's aggravated, just because it sucks doesn't mean that he planned it. You know what I mean? So the law is the law written like that. But it'd be nice to see it, different. I mean, if you're killing kids,
for kids, fuck, you don't shoot kids.
So they said, during the sentencing, the people his family, Savage's family, addressed this guy in court. I'm surprised they didn't threaten him with a firebombing.
Honestly, yeah.
Jesus Christ. So they said that he has a daughter of his own. So they told him about that you should be ashamed of yourself and all that.
The young man that shot a baby has a baby?
Has a baby, of course. Fuck. One of the people said, quote, "Based on the fact that I don't think he's owned up to what he's done, I believe it was an appropriate sentence." Investigators immediately called the shooting an outrage, saying that the girl was an innocent bystander. Obviously, she was outside of her goddamn elementary school, for fuck's sake. I mean, you can't get more of a bystander than that.
Fire weapons near a school.
Fuck, man. So April 19th, 2011, now we're talking about people might be, a lawyer for another defendant, a lawyer named William Spade, says that Lamont Lewis might testify against him now. So now remember his buddy Lamont Lewis from part one? Well, now old Big Dummy Lamont here is going to testify.
Oh, boy.
He said, noting it seems certain that the government has now reached an agreement with Lewis. So he had agreed to cooperate more than a month ago when prosecutors announced they would seek the death penalty for Savage and other defendants in the case, but not Lewis, because he made a deal.
All right.
So, but his lawyer says that the fact that his motion, they said 3 days before they filed the death notices, the government filed a sealed motion as to Lamont Lewis. So they made a deal with him before that, because we know that's for a fact here. He was arrested in 2007 during an elaborate FBI sting operation in which a South Jersey man posed as a drug dealer seeking to hire him for a contract killing, if we remember that conversation.
Right.
That was fucking hilarious. So, Lamont Lewis is now going down, obviously, but he's going to testify. They said it's obvious from this discovery that the government intends to build its case on the testimony of Lamont Lewis, who, according to the government itself, was one of Savage's chief assassins. Okay. Not good.
No.
July 23rd, 2011, Kadada, remember Kadada?
Yeah, his
sister. Yeah, his sister Kadada now is going to be charged as well for all this. She's named in a superseding indictment unsealed. The indictment also expanded the charges against Kaboni Savage. Two other co-defendants, alleged drug-dealing hitmen Stephen Northington and Robert Merritt, also named in the 17-count indictment, which repeats many of the charges detailed in the indictment handed up in 2011, including 12 homicides linked to the drug underworld, at least 8 believed to be tied to witness intimidation.
Huh.
So they're charging her just like them in the conspiracy to commit murder, because she was the one that he told to basically have the firebombing done. Most of the new information in this case, including specific details tying Kidada to the firebombing murders, is apparently being provided by Lamont Lewis. So now they have the evidence.
Oh, shit.
Lamont,
it's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy. Yeah, absolutely. She was taken into custody by federal authorities and scheduled to be arraigned. So very interesting. The indictment alleges that she was the one that sent Eugene Twin Coleman, who's also in prison at the time, warning him not to cooperate and posting personal information about witnesses on an internet website in an attempt to intimidate them. Mm-hmm. And also they alleged that the day before the firebombing, October 9th, 2024, Kaboni Savage called Kidada from prison, and the indictment states that Lamont Lewis was with Kidada at the time, and Kaboni told him to do what Kidada would instruct him to do. And according to that, according to Lewis and this indictment, she told Lewis she would pay him $5,000 to burn down the home of witness Eugene Coleman's family and kill members of the family.
Okay.
She's fucked, is what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kidada in court is described by federal prosecutors as a remorseless underworld lieutenant for her convicted drug kingpin brother. You know what that said. Oh, man. The duo, according to federal prosecutions, orchestrated multiple murders, including 6 people, obviously, in the firebombing. Details of her role in her brother's alleged underworld reign of terror were outlined in detention motions filed by federal prosecutors here. Now, all 4 of these, she even faces the death penalty. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they said that neither Kaboni nor Kidada seemed to care about the consequences of the firebombing, which authorities have described as one of the most horrific examples of witness intimidation in Philadelphia history. Yeah, the mafia wouldn't do that. Like, that's a lot. That's fucking crazy. A day after the arson, Kidada had a discussion with Lamont Lewis, the guy who she hired to do it, and they said, she asked, "Yo, you seen the news?" And Lewis replied, "Why didn't you tell me there were kids there?" He didn't know there was fucking kids in the house.
Fucking clue.
No.
Because he didn't care. That's why he doesn't care about those children. He's not going to tell you be careful.
I mean, but this is his testimony now.
Right.
But with that, according to the prosecution, Kidada Savage just smirked and then said, "Fuck them. There's dead kids. Fuck them." That's going to look great in court. That is. That's what every juror is going to go sit down and have in their head.
Yeah.
Dead kids burned to crisp. Fuck them. That's not good. Mm-mm. Wow. Besides that, also, she posted names of witnesses on a website attempting to intimidate them. She did this using her screen name, Dizmatic, with a D. With a Z, I mean, Dizmatic. The government motion also alleges that when Kidada Savage was arrested last week after the indictment was unsealed, adding her as a defendant, authorities found a handwritten list of names and addresses of witnesses and witnesses' family members in her car. This is not good at all. Heavy. It's getting heavy. They're finding all the evidence here.
Yeah.
September 17th, 2012, they're doing jury selections. And obviously that's a touchy thing because their identities have to be held privately. And, you know, and also a lot of people have heard about this shit too.
Yeah.
They said about 500 potential jurors are expected in federal court to begin the process. That's a shitload of jurors to do this. And they got to find 12 people who don't know shit about
500?
it. Wow, that is crazy. This is 12 homicides they're charging him for. February 4th, 2013, trial begins for Kaboni. Here we go. It is on here. He's already in jail for 30 years, by the way.
Yeah, none of this really matters that much. Except to try to keep him from ever getting out.
And on death row, he'll have less access to other people to threaten him. That's about it. So he testifies.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He's got nothing to lose. He's fucked.
I suppose, yeah.
So he testifies, and the prosecutor says, "Ever threatened to kill his daughter?" And Savage said, "Yes."
She did.
He said, "And when you threatened to kill his daughter, you meant it at the time." And he says, "At the time, yes." So then he said, "I was just venting." He said, quote, "Just vented. We just talking. This is our state of mind right now, us against them. I'm just in a perplexed situation and I'm venting and it's coming out."
All right.
He said that in court. that is interesting, but that's what he testifies to in a pretrial thing. Now, February 5th, 2013, opening statements come back here, and wow, Jesus Christ. The defense said they will put prosecution witnesses, drug dealers, violent criminals, and murderers on trial. Our guy won't be the only guy on trial here. They said Lamont Lewis, the star witness, is as big a piece of shit as anybody, and we're going to tell you all about him. He said that Lewis cut the deal of the century. He's admitted to 11 murders, but has avoided the death penalty and can get as little as 40 years for the slaughter of 11 people, which is pretty impressive. And also, he was overheard on a tape saying authorities wanted him to lie on somebody about the fire, and they're saying that would be Kaboni Savage. He said that they wanted him to lie about. So, makes a lot of sense here. So the jury is going to see evidence of past drug sales here, and they bring in all of his old shit. They bring in like all of his coke processing stuff. They have any physical shit they can show people that they have sitting in an evidence room. They wheel into this courtroom and go, see, look at all this shit he had.
Yeah.
And they got out all of his stuff, everything to process coke, and they're explaining what each thing is just to show who he is. Wow, that is fucking crazy. He showed recompression components that traffickers use to package coke. The jurors saw cutting agents used to dilute coke and a wooden mallet that was used to break down the coke here.
Yep.
So they raided properties, were obviously in Philly there. They said at the time the search warrant was executed, Savage was confined to his home while awaiting murder charges here, which, remember, he was acquitted of those charges in 2004.
Yeah.
And then he did more. So good job.
Well, that's what happens when you acquit a bad guy.
That's what happens there. So, he's a bad fucking guy. We'll just say that here. On Thursday, his lawyer cross-examined an FBI special agent, Kevin Lewis. The agent admitted he had, quote, no idea who shot Mr. Savage at a recreation center in March of 2001 when Savage was on house arrest. And we didn't know about that till now, that he got shot. He got shot at home somehow. We're not sure. So their trial continues. This is a long trial, by the way. Today, its twin is going to be testifying. Eugene Twin Coleman is going up there.
Oh, boy.
He said how he began as a lookout when he was a kid for Kaboni on the streets there, and they grew to be associates and everything. The prosecutors allege that, obviously, that they've tried to get Eugene to stop testifying. That Savage, this has been the main target, is to get him to not to testify. It was his family that, was firebombed. Mm-hmm. So Twin testifies that hours before his 6 relatives were murdered in the firebombing, he unexpectedly encountered the Kaboni Savage. He said Coleman had been waiting in a holding cell, and U.S. Marshals escorted Kaboni Savage to a neighboring cell, and Savage knew that Coleman had become a cooperator, and that's when he started ranting and yelling, as we talked about, saying he's a rat, his mother, all of them. Kill all the rats. Kill all the fucking rats, he's quoted as saying. They said that minutes later, the men were waiting with other inmates in a tunnel. Coleman said he glanced back at Savage. He said, then Kaboni grinned at me, looked, and went just like this, and he slid his fingers across his neck.
Oh.
So he said that he recounted the encounter during his second day on the witness stand here. Wow. The day after that encounter, at dawn, that's when 2 people torched the house and blew it up here and killed all those kids and shit. So, yeah, Coleman is a big witness because he did a lot of crazy shit for this guy. So, yeah, he's got the most to
lose,
to say, basically, too. He knows a shitload. He talked about Savage allegedly offered. He said it at this point. He said that, quote, we was like a family, like the little black mafia. He said we had our own little thing. And when Savage ordered an enforcer to execute a dealer on Coleman's Palmetto Street apartment, Coleman said he helped out with the hit. He recalled wrapping the victim, Tyrone Tolliver, in green garbage bags, hauling him to the car, and abandoning the car on a darkened block. Then Coleman went back and sanded and bleached away the bloodstains on the floor. He went back with fucking sandpaper. Wow.
On leather seats to get it all out.
Fuck, on the floors in the place, too. So, wow. They said that after this
he
murder.
sanded a wooden floor?
To get the blood stains out of it.
Wow, Jesus.
Yeah, bleached and sanded it off after that.
That is cold-blooded, man.
Yeah. You're not going to see bleach stains or any of that shit because I'll sand the fucking wood off of it. I don't give a shit. That's hardcore.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
Not fucking around. So apparently they talk about how he, after this murder, the FBI pressed him to cooperate, and Twin said, I was tired and I had had enough, is what he told Savage's lawyer during the cross-examination here. So that September, Savage's sister, Kadada, sent Coleman a letter in prison reminding him of the phrase death before dishonor. And he said that was a message, Coleman said, and he knew it was a message, and that's why that steeled him up to testify then. Yeah. So the defense gets a shot at these witnesses here. Okay. And obviously they're going to say a lot different things here than the prosecution's going to say. As he completed a third day of occasionally contentious cross-examination, Savage's lawyer did not ask Coleman about those specific remarks of kill all the fucking rats and all that shit they talk about. He said, but he did point to FBI reports before the attack in which Coleman said others in the federal detention center had threatened him and his family. Mm-hmm. They're saying, is Kaboni Savage the only guy to threaten you? And he says, no. Mm-hmm. Other people have threatened me. Yeah, he said, but he said that Coleman told agents in 2004 that he was worried that Muslim inmates who knew he had become a government witness planned a sit-down about him, like they were going to kill him, basically. Oh. So he's like, isn't that true? Weren't you afraid of the Muslims killing you? Right? So it could have been them. How do you know it's fucking Kaboni Savage, basically? How do you know it wasn't all the Muslim guys in jail? And he said, well, I don't know. At one point, he said that Bay was talking to Kaboni through the toilet bowl, he testified.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
That is my fucking favorite. That's a great line to give in a fucking trial here.
Blower. That's nice.
That is amazing. So, yeah, there's Eugene. There's Twin Coleman. April 1st, 2013. Here, I believe, is Lamont Lewis testifying. Yeah. And he is the guy who set the fucking fire. So, wow, that's crazy. During questioning by the attorney, Lewis conceded that after the firebombing and after he had killed the children, he was supposedly upset they were victims, but he continued to sell drugs, carry a gun, and continue to shoot at people. So they were like, you were so upset. You retired from the life? And he was like, well, I mean, no, I still shot people and stuff, but,
I still carry a pistol for life.
Still got to do stuff here. Mm-hmm. That is fucking amazing. He's continued to be on the stand for a few days, obviously, because they're going to try to really really take his story apart, but he sticks to his story on the stand.
Unbelievable.
Sticks to it. The defense suggests that the minimum sentence for an admitted hitman cooperating with authorities in the fatal 2004 bombing may be less than it seems based on his plea deal. They're saying don't believe him. Mm-hmm. Witness Lamont Lewis had admitted to committing 11 murders. Testified that he set the fire with his cousin Robert Merritt on orders from Kaboni Savage. During questioning, though, Lewis acknowledged that he's hoping to do less than the 40 years he's been sentenced to.
Okay.
So they said that the lawyer suggested that Lewis, who has already served out 5 years, could get time off for good behavior and be released in under 30. Lewis told the jury he'd be the first to say that he doesn't deserve it, but he would like to serve less time, even though he doesn't deserve to get out
earlier.
Who the
hell would say, I'll do more?
I'll do more. I deserve it.
Yeah.
And the prosecution emphasized the ultimate sentence, anywhere from 40 years to life, is up to the judge. So There you go. Lewis said that he and Merritt had believed Coleman's mother and brother were in the home, and that was it. That's what they were told. They said they were shocked after learning how many people were killed. He said, we were both really messed up about what happened.
Does that make it better?
I don't think it does. No,
I don't think so.
But he needs to say that so the jury doesn't think he's a monster.
Yeah.
So he didn't say fuck him afterwards, because that's a monster.
That's the bad stuff.
Wow. April 16th, 2013 here. This is wild. Kaboni Savage, I guess, at one point was trying to explain to an inmate in the cell adjacent to him how he felt about the drug case pending against him and the cooperating witness. And he said, tears of rage. That's what Kaboni said, not tears of sadness. Yeah. He said, I'm flooded internally from him. Tears don't work that way. They don't go back into your body and flood you. No. Luckily, they come out and just fall right off of your face. It's pretty easy.
And they're pretty well useless out there. They do no harm.
None. He said, I'm flooded internally from him. Almost drown myself every night, man. Tears of rage cause these son of a bitches gonna pay, man. They gonna pay. They kids gonna pay. They mama gonna pay. I know you get tired of me saying it, man, but that's the kind of conviction I got for this shit, man. I'm dedicated to their death, man.
Yeah, he cries inward.
That is some shit. That was February 2004, back in the day before the firebombing. So that's very, very relevant here. So they're playing all of his old tapes. All of his old hits are coming out.
All the hits. Shit.
They're like ABBA when Mamma Mia came out. Like, they're just like, all of our old hits are hits again. This is great. We didn't even have to do shit, and they just made it for us. Look at that. Yeah. We're selling mad fucking albums. This is crazy. So this is over 300 conversations that they're going to play for the jury, by the way.
Wow.
All of him saying insane shit. The barbecue sauce one, at also the funerals of those, quote, burnt bitches. That's in there.
Jesus.
That is not good at all. They said one of his lawyers said, Mr. Savage's feelings toward cooperating witnesses have already been made abundantly clear to this jury through hours and hours of tape recordings. Do we need to keep listening? And they were like, yeah, we do. We do. But the defense lawyers argued that excessive use of the tapes that focused on the same topics should be barred because of the cumulative impact they could have on a jury. So they said the government has cherry-picked the most prejudicial minutes of the recordings from thousands of hours available to them. Prosecutors say it shows his intent, motive, consciousness of guilt, and if we show that he's doing it often, it's not just venting one time. He's serious.
Okay.
If we have him 10 times saying he's going to kill these people and then these people are dead, that's something.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, come on, man. He's threatened to kill investigators also, according to the transcripts of several tapes cited by the prosecution. Also lashed out at an unidentified captain at the federal detention center, gleefully promising a particular brutal death for him. And for that, I think we'll let Kaboni use his own words here. What do you say?
Yeah, what death does he want?
Well, we'll find out here. With an in their own words, quote, that captain motherfucker, man, he gonna die a miserable death, and I hope I'm there. I hope I'm the cause of that motherfucker. I'm gonna torture his ass. I'm gonna set him on fire, alive. That's what I want to do to an N-word. I want to set an N-word on fire alive. Watch him jump around like James fucking Brown. Get a metal chair and some cuffs, douse him with gasoline, set his ass on fire, say, welcome to hell, bitch. Is that the
said that?
Is that the craziest in their own words of all time, or what? I think it might be. So yeah, that's what he said. But this is the context of it. We heard it earlier. Holy fucking shit, man!
Dance around like James Brown.
Yep, they bring up I'm going to blow her little head off. She's like
God
5.
Damn it, that's bad.
This kid's going to pay for making my kids cry, talking about I'll kill witnesses' kids because my kids are sad. Wow, open her head up wide with 40s dum-dums, man, that fucking shit. He said that that's all I dream about is killing this guy's children. I ain't got no regrets for nothing I did. I ain't complaining about my lifestyle, he said at one point. Called everything the fruits of his labor, if we remember. He said, been about everywhere I want to go. These guards are never going to experience that. Remember saying they were jealous of him?
Yeah.
You know, talking about how he goes and buys 2 jet skis and all that kind of shit. Spend a dime on some bitches, $12,000 just to trick.
Yeah,
all day long. That's right. He said,
corn song.
It's a bad one. It's a real bad one. He said, so I sit back in here and I ain't got no regrets. Look at the watch. You pay $50,000 for a watch. These motherfuckers ain't got $50,000 houses or cars. And you got this shit on your wrist. No regrets.
Who doesn't have a $50,000 house? Kaboni?
I mean, some people.
If it's
you'd have to live in the hills.
I suppose. Yeah. Trailer in the hills.
You'd have to live in the hills like the what was that American Hollow documentary where the guy tried to bail. He tried to bail his brother out who was held on $5,000, and with 2 houses, they weren't worth enough to bail him out. One was worth like $1,200 and the other was worth like $2,200. They couldn't. 2 houses couldn't make bail. Oh, so the defense opens their case in April 22nd of 2013, and they call witnesses to cast doubt on incriminating recordings, they say, and testimony from prosecution witnesses. I don't know how you even attack this mountain of evidence.
Who knows?
I don't know how you do that. But the Philadelphia Daily News, their headline reads, "Threatening killer or playful nice guy?"
What?
He says he's playful.
I mean, who's ever been mistaken for one or the other of those?
That's it. One of his girlfriends said he was basically just playing.
I guess that's what every girl plays when they scroll Tinder.
Yeah, no shit. Threatening killer or playful nice guy? No shit. So they said that in your common language that we both use, it's not a threat. Talking about something he said, that he was just playing around. He said, one time he said, we got a bond for life. I'd kill you before I let you go. And he's saying that's not a threat. That's just like a statement of saying how much I love you, actually.
It's just how it goes, man.
Yeah. Then one of the people said that, has he stalked you? They asked a witness after the jury heard a 2006 phone call in which Savage from a federal prison was heard threatening to put a spy on Copeland after accusing her of this girl of going to parties, his girlfriend. And she said, actually, he was kidding. It was a playful call.
It's just joking.
Just joking.
Yeah.
Just joking. Maggie Ortiz, a neighbor of the arson victims, told the jury that seconds before hearing an explosion and 6 gunshots, she heard a man and woman arguing in the front door of the row house. Quote, "What the fuck are you doing? Think about what you're doing. People live there. You're crazy," the woman said in Spanish in the pre-dawn darkness, according to her. In English, the man cursed and shouted to be left alone. Man, leave me the fuck alone. He kept doing it after there was a witness watching him do it.
Wow.
In a matter of seconds, boom, she said. I never witnessed anything like that. I guess not.
No.
The fucking firebombing. Then Savage's trial, they hear a tape from about his mother.
Oh.
Barbara Savage testified about events leading up to the 2004 firebombing here. Wow. The video is a January 3rd recording of Barbara Savage testifying about the events leading up to the firebombing. Prosecutors say that he ordered here. In her testimony, Barbara Savage said that Kaboni tried to befriend Coleman, who she said was lying about her son. She said, "There was a time I thought he was a nice guy," meaning about Coleman. In her video testimony, she recalled the night before the firebombing when Lewis rang the doorbell of the Savage family's North Philadelphia home and was allowed inside. While inside, he spoke on the phone with Kaboni Savage, who was calling from prison. During that call, Savage also spoke with his sister. We know all about that call. Larry Harcum was in the federal detention center, another witness here. with Lewis in 2008. Harcum testifies that Lewis talked with him about the firebombing and admitted to being involved in the arson, but said Kaboni Savage had nothing to do with it. So the U.S. attorney said, inmates lie to each other often and lie to each other all the time. And he said, you don't even know if what you hear is the truth. Is that right? And he said, well, yeah, no, I don't know. There's gossip in prison. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, how would you know?
Harcum admitted he lied to probation officers about college studies, but stuck by his main testimony and said, I'm not lying about what I said about Lamont Lewis. Okay. Now, April 30th, 2013, closing arguments begin this week for this case here. Obviously, everyone has made a deal against him, so he's kind of fucked there. I guess federal agents had offered relocations to, that's the fucked up part. They had offered relocations to Coleman's family before they were firebombed, and they refused.
Yeah.
And then they got firebombed. Coleman said she was a corrections officer. She owned a gun and knew how to take care of herself. That's why she wanted to stay there, and she died. So, May 1st, Savage's defense attorney dismisses the enterprise. In the closing arguments, they say that he wasn't even the head of a large drug dealing organization. They're even denying that.
Okay.
They said they reject the idea that their client was a wealthy boss of a violent criminal organization. They said he didn't make a pretty penny. He lived with his mother on Darien Street. He was a drug dealer. He drove a Subaru. There's no such thing as a Kaboni Savage organization. It's been stretched to make it look like an organization. Okay. He's selling massive amounts of coke. That's an organization.
You've got to have, a Bentley to be murdering?
The corporate paperwork,
Yeah, you got to have an LLC.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Membership to the golf club is helpful. That says a lot about you, I think. I don't know what they're talking about.
All right.
He kept a low profile because he didn't want to look like a drug dealer. That was what he did, and he said that. So he bragged about that. They said that also the defense's first day of arguments here, they said Savage bought and sold drugs with people who had no allegiance to him. He said there was no organization that shared money, no natural family of crime associates, no enterprise longevity. There were multiple people buying and selling kilograms of cocaine on the street, he said. He also said that constituted a multiple conspiracy of drug dealing, not a racketeer-influenced and corrupt organization, a RICO enterprise.
Yeah.
So the mafia fucking things here. The defense attorney also said that if the government cannot prove the existence of an enterprise, then the jury by law must find him not guilty of violent crimes in aid of that racketeering.
Okay.
Because that's the case. It's racketeering and murder for that, so it's a RICO thing. Okay. Jury deliberations start on May 6th. Then there's a break for some reason, and then May 11th they resume their deliberations. I don't know what the hell that break was, but it was a break. Okay, May 13th, 2013, we have a verdict is ready here.
Okay.
And they find him guilty of murdering 12 people. So does Kaboni. She faces life in prison after being convicted in the connection of the firebombing as well. Co-defendant Stephen Northington was convicted of 2 counts of murder in aid of racketeering, could face the death penalty.
Oh.
So jurors convicted Savages, Northington, and Robert Merritt. Remember, that's Lamont Lewis's guy that they went together.
Yeah.
Of racketeering conspiracy, but acquitted Merritt of charges in the firebombing, which I don't understand.
How do you...
You believed Lamont Lewis, everything he told you, except that he brought Robert Merritt with him? That doesn't make sense to me.
And the only reason that they would want to be firebombed is because he would want it that way.
That's what I mean. It makes no goddamn sense. So the penalty phase begins here, and federal prosecutors will argue for the death penalty, citing multiple aggravating factors, including heinous, cruel, or depraved manner of murder. The victims were children, multiple victims. You name the aggravator, it's there, pretty much. The defense will try to bring mitigating factors in there, which I don't know what mitigating factors he has, other than he has children. That's the only one. There have been just a couple of potential death penalty cases in the district since the penalty was reinstated in '88 federally. No one has been sentenced to death here since then, and the Bureau of Prison Records indicate no tri-state area federal prisoner has been executed since 1927.
Is that right?
Yes. So The prosecutor, in his closing here for the sentencing, he says a prison cannot hold him. You have to kill him because if you don't, he'll have other people killed. It's never going to end with him.
Okay.
Yeah, he said he slaughtered and burned up children just to get back at a witness, and then he laughed about it.
That is true.
That is true. Mm-hmm. The hearing's expected to take a couple of weeks here for this. This is crazy. Savage, he said, all I dream about is killing rats at one point. I mean,
and babies.
He said their moms will pay, their kids will pay. I'm dedicated to their death, man. That's a quote of him. Dedicated to their death, man.
Death, man.
That is great. I mean, dedicated to death is a pretty good name for like a Norwegian metal band. But other than that, I don't know where the fuck that's. I think that's a Slayer album. Dedicated to death.
It's people with horns, that's for sure.
Holy shit, that is fucking funny. Man, that's wild. So that's how that goes. And they said, think of the horror that was going through their mind as they burned to death. So May 27th, 2013, he has his daughter testify.
Really?
His alive daughter.
Yeah.
Or no, they're talking about he was on the phone talking to his 4-year-old daughter.
Ooh.
And he said, I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you. The little girl said the same thing. So they're like, oh, they're saying he's such a kind father.
Uh-huh.
Such a kind father. Then they bring up no fucking witness, no crime, which is the no body, no crime
that's
street
not true
version.
It's not
true. No.
Sometimes there has been no body, no crime, but there is never no witness,
no crime. No, not at all here. Jesus Christ, man.
That's
shit.
That's the funniest and fucking most desperate thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's crazy. So the defense attorney plays that tape of him talking to his daughter and say, well, if you're going to put tapes in, let's put this tape in. And he said, we want you to see the whole picture of Kaboni Savage. He's a sweet man, really. Come on, what are we doing here? Like they're treating him like he's some kind of monster, like he's from monster.com. The prosecution called him pure evil. So It's either death or life without parole, by the way, here. The defense also offered testimony on the culture of snitching in urban America, trying to point out that Savage was not a trailblazer in his rants against cooperators, but merely echoing the common perception of that snitches will say whatever the prosecutor wants to hear in order to cut a better deal for themselves, which is also a possible thing. Defense witnesses, including a lawyer and scholar and the author of Snitching, Criminal Informants, and the Erosion of American Justice. But Kaboni Savage's own words that the defense attorneys hoped would have the greatest impact on their deliberations. They used some of the same secretly recorded conversations that were part of the FBI's investigation into him. Here, key elements were his relationship with his daughter and other members of his extended family. This is the 4-year-old daughter's mother said they have a bond with each other that's unbreakable. Yeah. That's Crystal Copeland. That's the mother. Remember, she's like a teacher. Yeah.
If Copeland, it's unbreakable, then he can do prison time. A lot of it
should be fine. Copeland, his girlfriend, who has 2 master's degrees in education and works for the Philadelphia School District. Wow. But she's testifying for a man that burned children to death who were probably in her district. That's crazy. Right. Testified as a defense witness, called him a kind and loving father and a loving companion who made her laugh. Wow. So the girl who was 4 is now 13. She says he has been her hero. It's been difficult for her not to have him around.
Right.
Holy shit. He said that she goes on to say she doesn't want to function without him. She said her daughter's an A student and that Savage always emphasized his phone calls and letters and a need for a good education. She said her goal in life is to make him proud.
Yeah.
Well, wow. Then again, they play another recording of Savage speaking softly to his daughter and says, you can't paint your toenails, then put your socks on, laughing. Because she fucked it up.
Yeah, stick to your socks, baby.
They will not do well there. And then he said, I love you too. I miss you too. And they're like, see?
Yeah,
monster. He couldn't have firebombed people. Because, he's real nice. He's nice to his 4-year-old daughter.
You mean he doesn't threaten to firebomb her every time she fucks up?
No shit. The jury also heard from Yusef Kaboni Savage, the 19-year-old son of Conchetta Savage, the defendant's older sister. While Kaboni is Yusef's uncle, the teenager said he's more like a father. He said this kid's going to Penn State at this time, and he said he refers to Kaboni as dad. And while he's been unable to visit him in prison because visits are restricted to biological children, he said that he and his uncle have corresponded and that his uncle's always encouraged him to do well in school and further his education. Great. That doesn't matter. Don Corleone literally said, you got to do good in school, kid, blah, 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 and then ordered 5 murders. It doesn't matter. None of that shit matters. Wow. That is, John Gotti told his kids to do good in school. You know what I mean?
Richard Kuklinski came home from murders to put together wagons for Christmas.
That's what I mean. None of this shit.
Wanted to make sure the kids were...
People compartmentalize.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Murder and my children are separate things. Nobody comes home and they're like, I'll murder you like that guy I just killed in the alley if you don't clean your fucking room. No criminal says that.
Right. They still care about their family.
Yeah, usually, unless they're complete monsters.
Yeah.
So during his time on the witness stand, he introduced a certificate that Yusef had obtained for his uncle while he was in grammar school. He testified that when he was 9, he wrote an essay about his uncle, describing him as the person who had the greatest positive impact on his life. Mm-hmm. He said his uncle taught him to read the newspaper when he was just 5 years old and encouraged him in sports and school. The certificate, with large letters declaring congratulations, was introduced as evidence and as another possible mitigating factor. Yeah, so that's fun here. Now, May 31st here, the jury has a unanimous decision.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and let's see here. They are going to sentence him to, you, sir, may fuck off 13 death sentences.
That's pretty good.
13.
Yeah.
Is a shitload of death sentences. 13.
You gotta outlive a lot of
wow.
A lot of electricity or firing
fucking
squads.
A.
You gotta outlive a lot of them.
Whew. 13's a lot. You gotta strike those down one at a time. Holy shit. 12 linked to individual victims, 1 linked to the jury's finding that Savage retaliated against a witness by killing a witness's family, which is an extra death sentence. Wow. He did not testify in this. He only testified in a previous thing. The jury heard all the tapes. Defense attorney declined to comment on that. He just lost. What's he going to say?
Yeah.
Well, fuck that one up anyway. Next case.
Yeah.
So he's sentenced to life in prison here, and life without parole for Stephen Northington.
Okay.
So he gets life without parole. The same jury voted for this. He was convicted of the murders of Barry Parker in 2003 and Tybius Flowers, that is the sanding the wooden floor to get the blood off murder, in addition to RICO charges here. And they said for more than a decade, this is Assistant Attorney General. His first name is General. His name is General Rahman.
What? R-A-M-E-N?
R-A-M-A-N, but it's still Rahman. General Rahman.
You could say Rahman if you want, but that's
General So's brother-in-law is who that is. General Rahman. He gets what the fuck is that? My sister married General Rahman. It's amazing. So we're going to put our heads together and figure this out. He says for more than a decade, Kaboni Savage and members of his organization used murder and violence to intimidate and retaliate against anyone who threatened their drug trade, and along the way mercilessly killed a cooperating witness's family members, including innocent children. We're hopeful that the jury's verdict brings some measure of justice to the victims of Savage's heinous crimes.
Yeah.
They said achieving justice sometimes requires us to ask the citizens on a jury to make the most difficult sentencing decision imaginable. In this case, after convicting the defendants of the crimes involving murder, the jurors chose death for Kaboni Savage and life for Stephen Northington. The defendants' horrific conduct struck at the very heart of our criminal justice system, which depends on witnesses testifying without fearing for their lives or the lives of their family members. Yeah, they said Kaboni Savage and his crew murdered men, women, and children for money, power, and ultimately just for revenge. They thought no more of taking lives than of taking a phone call. After more than a decade of brutality, Northington's life sentence and Savage's death sentences are justly deserved.
Evidently.
Let's see. Kadada also here faces mandatory life sentencing, and so does co-defendant Robert Merritt faces that as well. So we'll find out. So, yeah, all of his victims here, the 6 people in the Coleman home and everybody else, as we know of, It's a lot. So the cost of putting him on death row was $10 million, by the way.
Good Christ.
It costs $10 million to fucking
run these
make
cases?
this case.
Fuck.
Absolutely. That is fucking wild. That's crazy.
That's federal
just
federal
what
tax
it costs.
money.
Yeah, that's just what it costs. They said court-appointed lawyers for Savage and his co-defendants have logged more than $3.3 million in fees and expenses, a record for a federal case in Philadelphia, and are still billing. In defense, now in death penalty cases, especially federal ones, because there's states that are still shitty on this, but basically in a death penalty case, I think it's this way federally. It's like this in a lot of states, like the civilized states, basically. If it's the death penalty you're up for, you get the same resources as the prosecution.
Okay.
They can't outspend you on expert witnesses and shit like that. You get to test stuff. Because it's a death penalty case. So
because that's
sense.
called fair, and otherwise they'll just fucking dog walk you to the end of your life.
If you don't like that, you can get rid of the death penalty and you won't have to worry about that anymore. Right. But if you like the death penalty, you like paying $10 million to get a guy
to make
here
it fair.
To maybe or maybe not end up getting the death penalty in the end.
Otherwise, they're gonna overturn it on appeal because it was not fair.
Exactly.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them, or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
So they said the court shelled out $325,000 in per diem payments and travel expenses for 1,100 prospective jurors, and the 18 eventually picked for the trial. $325,000 just for the jury.
My God.
Juror lunches and snacks top $24,000.
Costco runs.
Wow. And transcripts. Jesus. This is the thing about the legal business and the medical industry that people don't understand. Transcripts are insanely expensive.
Yeah.
The transcripts cost $249,000.
And we're supposed to trust that whoever wrote those every word 100% correct.
God, I hope so. It helps me out a lot on these cases. But, dude, that's so much fucking money. And that's why they say, like, these prisoners that are trying to do their own shit from prison, they can't get their transcripts because they can't afford them.
Right.
Because they're so fucking expensive. It's hard. So, wow, that's insane. They said on most days, half a dozen U.S. Marshals ringed in the courtroom and escorted the trial judge into the court. The court shelled out $325. Oh, that's for that. Juror lunches, $283,000 for the marshal service as well for that. And the price of imprisoning Savage is at least $31,000 a year for each year he lives, and that could be a long time.
Sure.
And the American University law professor who studied these costs said, frankly, no one should be surprised to see this much cost. If we're going to do it right so that the death penalty convictions are accurate, it costs money. Exactly.
Does, yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, here is Kidada now.
What's she have to say?
An angry Kidada Savage, sister of Kaboni, wanted her sentencing hearing delayed yesterday. She claimed she needed a new lawyer. This is BS, whispered Eugene Coleman, whose mother, a 15-year-old son, and 4 other relatives were killed. Holy shit. Kidada apparently said that she was told that I have not, from the judge, I haven't heard a word of remorse from you. Quite frankly, the nature of this crime was barbaric.
Incredible.
The crime was horrendous. I don't know how you could live with yourself.
Honestly.
And she said, not guilty, Your Honor. That's how.
Okay. You don't.
That's not Kidada. That's Conchetta, the older sister, screaming from the gallery.
Oh, dear God. And she was thrown out or held in contempt, I hope.
U.S. Marshal approached her and led her from the courtroom after that.
Uh-huh.
Earlier, Kidada herself claimed to the judge that she had nothing to do with the killing. She said, Your Honor, I was railroaded. The system is just unjust. I would never hurt anybody regardless of that guilt verdict. I know I did nothing wrong. I will fight to the end because it's not true.
Why do these people do this?
This is fucking crazy. There's so much goddamn.
Why do people in court scream, I didn't do it? Don't do that.
You're done already. The judge isn't going to go,
It's over.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm getting rid of everything. You're right.
Yeah,
Our bad.
I've seen the error of the justice and the ways that it has.
You know what? She's got a point, everybody. What are we doing with our lives with these jobs?
Take the blindfold off of justice so that she can see that the woman is clearly innocent.
Yeah, let her take a look at this. We've all been fooling ourselves. Prosecutors, defense attorneys, hang them up.
Moron.
Open up a fucking food truck because at this point, this is useless.
All you're doing is pulling your dick out and wagging it at the judge. That's not smart.
Wow. The prosecutor told the judge that Kidada was manipulating the system by trying to delay her sentencing. Mm-hmm. The defense lawyers told the judge that Kidada grew up in a house that was the center of her brother's drug dealing. Her family has strong bonds of love and trust, and whatever Kaboni told Kidada to do, she did. So it's not her fault. Okay. They said the greatest punishment for Kidada is being moved from the federal detention center in Philadelphia where she's close to her family. That's what they said. That's the worst thing you could do to her. So March 20th, 2014, the local FBI honors they have basically a Kaboni Savage award ceremony.
Fantastic.
To give all these guys awards and shit because they've been working this case. One guy, Kevin Lewis, FBI agent, has been working the case for, he said, it's been a daily part of my career for about 14 years now.
Oh, shit.
I would hate this asshole by then. Like, I want to do something. I'm so tired of you.
When you put him away, then what do you do with your life?
Yeah, now what? Fuck. He said, finally, someone's been brought to justice for the years and years of terror that he and his crew inflicted on the city of Philadelphia.
Right.
Wow. Lamont Lewis, said he was gratified that Savage was finally held accountable, providing some level of closure for the victims. Oh, this is a different Lewis. This is a prosecutor Lewis. Sorry. Oh. He said the day, it's confusing. Everyone's named Lewis. Yeah. He said the day he got his death sentence, he turned to look into the audience and there was nobody there for him. There were people for the victims, but nobody in the audience for him.
Oh, boy.
Nobody showed up for that one, I guess. Wow. Okay. They said 4 agents are honored in this case. Agent Kevin Lewis, Assistant U.S. Attorneys John Gallagher, David E. Troyer, and Stephen Melly were honored for their work in the case here. Okay. Holy shit. They won apparently the high-intensity drug trafficking area gave Lewis the National HIDTA Award for Excellence. They made an acronym out of high-intensity drug trafficking area and named an award after it, the HIDTA Award.
Area.
It's the HIDTA Award, the National HIDTA Award for Excellence. That's the fucking funniest. That sounds like you're the best drug dealer in in an area with a lot of competition. Listen, every corner is a different product, and your shit is selling fastest.
And if you hang on to that corner long enough, you're gonna get your bust in the Hall of Fame. You doing a great job. Yeah.
We should have that.
One day you're going to get a jacket.
A street drug dealer Hall of Fame. Like guys who retired at 40 and made it. Like they should get they should get a jacket and a bust, I feel like.
Yeah, but you gotta know how much you moved too, because that matters.
Oh well, yeah, you can't just be slinging little bits.
Yeah, you can't have some 15-year-old moving nickel bags for 10 years.
You got to have 100 15-year-olds moving nickel bags. It's got to be.
You can't just be one 15-year-old.
No. Your name has to ring out. Your name has to ring out on the streets. You got to be able to go to anyone in the neighborhood and ask about you and have them be like, "Oh, he's the best drug dealer on the block."
It has to be some Marlowe reputation. Or
big time.
Omar's coming. They didn't say Omar's last name. No. Omar was like Cher.
First season Avon Barksdale type shit. Yeah. Omar was like fucking Omar was Seal is what he was, not even Cher.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I only say that because of the scars. Yeah. So anyway, they talk about they said the testimony was just heartbreaking. One of the adult family members was found, this is in the fire, kneeled as if she was in prayer, the firefighter put it, over the body of a 15-month-old child, using her last breath to try to save this child from impossible odds, and they all perished.
Wow.
Jesus, that is fucking bleak, man. Imagine walking into that.
That is tough.
No fucking thank you. They also said, we never heard I am sorry. We never heard any sympathy. That's it. Never heard anything from them, is what they said. So Lamont Lewis now is sentenced officially. You, sir, may fuck off 40 years in prison. He gets, which is, he did kill multiple people. Testimony or not, he killed fucking.
He's a bad guy.
Like 6 people, I think he was in there for. So that's a lot here. But his testimony was absolutely imperative. I mean, he talked about setting the fire and what the sister told him. So also, he gets 40 years in prison. And he says, I am, after that, they said anything the prosecutor recounted one exchange during an early meeting with Lamont where he said, quote, I'm just sitting there and I'm listening and I hear Lamont Lewis say to the detective, I know I'm going to hell when I die. So fuck it, basically.
Yeah.
2018, there's an episode of show called Gangsters, America's Most Evil.
Love that.
And it is the Philly Menace Kaboni Savage is what it's called. And it's a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb here. I believe it's streaming on Peacock right now. You can check that out.
Yeah,
and they say Kaboni Savage was a ruthless drug dealer in North Philadelphia who lived up to his name by committing murder against his rivals and even their families, but whose own words would ultimately lead to his demise.
Right.
That is fucking, yes, I guess so. So July 14th, 2019 here. They say, losing bet, informing on drug lord is the Philadelphia Inquirer's fucking headline here. They say, in prison for fraud, the financial advisor stumbled into Kaboni Savage's death. Then his cover was blown. It started off with an envelope slipped under a prison cell door. Peter Bistrian, an orderly sweeping the solitary confinement unit's floor in Philadelphia Detention Center, picked it up. A voice from inside the cell whispered instructions to deliver the message to another inmate on the row. And although he knew neither the sender nor the intended recipient, he did as he was told. Yeah, I just don't want to get stabbed. So here.
Whatever.
I don't want to get stabbed next time I'm in the shower. That's good.
Yeah.
He said he couldn't have known that his simple furtive act would entangle him with one of Philadelphia's most notoriously violent drug lords, Kaboni Savage, and permanently upend his life.
Oh, boy.
Within days, the former Chadsford financial advisor, incarcerated after a 2006 fraud conviction, would find himself routinely ferrying communications between Savage and his lieutenants. Okay, if someone is not in there, we need to just separate violent and nonviolent, period.
That'd be helpful. Yeah.
Period. Just that's it. If you're in there for fraud, you should never come across a guy who killed 13 people. It should never fucking happen, ever. Separate places. Sorry, that's crazy.
Unless while in prison for fraud, you stabbed a guy.
Unless
now you're a violent guy.
Now we put you with those guys, yeah. But that's crazy. They said he would volunteer to secretly share those messages with federal agents building a death penalty case. So this guy's trying to get out himself.
Yeah.
And when the high-stakes arrangement ended in calamity, its collapse would prompt a lawsuit that the trial and that trial that opened last week in the same federal courthouse where he was sentenced 12 years ago, the fraud guy. Yeah. But when he picked up that first envelope in 2006, stuffed it into his prison jumpsuit, and agreed to deliver it to Savage, this guy only had one question. Who is that? He didn't even know who Savage was.
Mm-hmm.
It was only after he alerted the prison's guard to the notes that he was passing between Savage and other members of his crew and agreed to share those messages with agents that he learned who the fuck he was dealing with. And he was like, oh, God, this guy firebombs children.
Right.
Holy shit. They said, they said that it was from the same solitary confinement unit where Bistrian first came across him that Savage committed the most notorious crime, which was orchestrating the firebombing. So agents with the Bureau of Prison Special Investigations Services warned Bistrian of the danger he faced by informing on Savage's crew. But as a financial consultant, he had a high tolerance for risk and was never one to walk away from an opportunity.
Sure.
He saw this as like a stock that might take off. But if your stock crashes, nobody cuts your throat and burns your children alive. That's the difference.
That's a great point, too. Yeah.
That's the difference. A federal judge labeled the former University of Delaware football player. Shit, we got to write that down for another episode.
Who's that?
The fraud guy, Bistrian.
Really? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A consummate con man and one of the first sentencings of 1996 as the result of his conviction in a $1.5 million loan scam. When he met Savage and his crew in 2006, he was awaiting sentencing for another slate of crimes, a $400,000 check-kiting scheme to buy 3 Mercedes-Benzes and a Porsche, and a separate racket that fleeced $1.4 million from a South African steel company. We got to do an episode on this guy. He sounds fun.
He's fleecing Africans.
He's fleecing South Africans. That is hilarious.
You generally get emails that somebody from South Africa needs your money.
That's what I'm going to say. Yeah, he's not Nigerian prince. He's like, I have a Nigerian prince over here who needs your help to get back to Nigeria. Can you help him, please?
That is funny.
Bistrian's penchant for gaming the system had earned him a reputation inside a prison as a reliable jailhouse snitch. Hoping to better his conditions, he had helped security staff bust cigarette smuggling schemes and helped avert attacks on guards by informing on other inmates. The overtures from Savage's group came at an opportune time. He had just been transferred to the solitary confinement unit himself as punishment for abusing the prison's telephone policies. This is the fraud guy. Inmates there spend 23 hours a day locked in a 6-by-8 foot cell and are let out only for an hour of recreation. As the unit's orderly, a position granted to trusted prisoners, Bistrian had slightly more freedom to assist guards in serving meals, cleaning, and other tasks. That made him the perfect candidate for this job of passing notes back and forth.
Sure.
Bistrian said, I thought, what's in it for me? He testified in the courtroom. All I want is my telephone privileges turned back on so I can talk to my kids and my family, and I want to be returned to general population. That's all he wanted out of the deal, apparently.
Okay.
I'll ferry these messages back and forth, tell you what they say, but put me back in Gen Pop and I can talk to whoever I want on the fucking phone.
Okay.
So Bistrian secured the promises from the prison staff, and each time Savage or one of his lieutenants would slip an envelope under the door, Bistrian would take it to the prison investigators to be copied, then he'd deliver it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So within a month, apparently, the arrangement abruptly unraveled.
Uh-oh.
So hours after dropping off his latest note to one of Savage's top informants, Stephen Northington, he's from the trial, he got life without parole, Bistrian returned from his orderly rounds to a cacophony from Northington's cell. Quote, this is Bistrian, quote, he was screaming like hell that I was a snake, that I was a rat, that I was going to be effing killed. Uh-oh. Northington revealed that the last envelope Bistrian delivered contained a photocopy of the note instead of the original. He copied it and put the fucking photocopy in there instead of the cops taking it. So he knew it was up. Tipping them off that their trusted courier had been sharing their communication with the guards.
Yeah.
Bistrian said he begged prison staff to move him back to Gen Pop and separate him from Savage and his men. He said, I did everything I could do. I wrote. I stopped every officer that came day and night. They did nothing. My counselor said I was, quote, stuck like Chuck. I'm going to be stuck in the belly like a Chuck steak in a minute, motherfucker. What are you talking about? With a knife. This is terrible. I'm going to be dead like Fred if you don't hurry the fuck up. Never mind stuck like Chuck.
I'm going to be gone like Ron. Are you kidding me? Let's go. Get me out of here.
Killed like Bill and dead like Fred if you don't fucking help me, please. Help. Wow. Instead, they just revoked his orderly status and kept him confined in his cell for 23 hours a day.
Jesus.
But Northington, housed just a few cells away, kept up a constant barrage of threats, they said, toward him.
Yeah, because now he knows that there's a problem with this guy.
Yeah. And all they have to do is wait for them both to be out at the same time. Then on June 30th, 2006, weeks after his cover had been blown, Bistrian and Northington found themselves released into the same caged area in the recreation yard, a mistake that had immediate consequences. I bet. Northington lunged at him and took him down with a punch. Yeah, we're talking about a financial advisor versus a street drug dealer. It's not a good matchup.
That's not a fair fight.
Two other members of Savage's crew pummeled him with fists and feet. When Bistrian tried to stand, Northington slammed his face into the cage's metal wall. He lost consciousness while prison guards rushed to break up the attack. The beating left Bistrian with a dislocated shoulder, broken fingers, cuts across his face and head, and chipped and lost teeth. He said, when I woke up, I was bleeding so hard I couldn't see, but I was screaming. I was so mad. And then I told them this was going to happen, and it did.
It sure did.
So last week, more than a decade after the attack, Bistrian, who's now 62, they beat the shit out of a 50-something-year-old man, too, watched the grainy security camera footage of that fight from the witness stand. Although the worst of the brawl took place off camera, he fell silent as he relived the moment. Released from prison in 2009, he's now suing 8 prison officials whom he blames for blowing his cover and ignoring his warnings about the dangers. He's got a case here, man.
He was in trouble.
You got to fucking, if you got people who are going to rat, you have to then make sure they're safe.
Protect them, yeah.
He said he still suffers from nerve damage, shoulder damage, back injuries, post-traumatic stress, and other ailments, and is seeking punitive damages and more than $3 million in medical expenses. Wow. Lawyers for the guards have pushed back against Bistrian's narrative. They maintain he was warned of the risks when he approached them with the idea of informing on Savage.
Told him it's bad.
Then we just stuck him in a cage with him. We told him that these guys might try to kill you. And so what? That doesn't matter. Safe. You got to keep them away from him at least. They also dispute that they are to blame for blowing his cover, saying he fabricated the story that investigators accidentally gave him a copied note to deliver to Northington. Peter Bistrian is a con man. He makes up stories for his own advantage, said Sarita Joyce Moore, an attorney for one of the guards. It's what got him into prison. He did it while he was in prison and continued to do it after he was released from prison. They said it's more likely, she and her defense colleagues argue, that Bistrian's chronic ailment stemmed from a subsequent attack he suffered 4 months after the run-in with Northington, a second rec yard assault by an inmate with a smuggled razor blade, which guards were forced to break up by using flashbang grenades.
God damn.
Bistrian is also suing the federal government for failing to protect him in that incident, and a trial is set to begin as soon as his current case concludes. The individual guards are not defendants in that proceeding. At the state, it's a money thing. Yeah. For all the damage, Bistrian says his cooperation against Savage unleashed, his risks yielded few results. None of the notes contained much that was useful to prosecutors and were not used at the trial when he was sentenced to death. As for Bistrian, he testified last week that he hoped now to salvage some sort of life after his fateful decision to pick up that first note from the solitary confinement unit's floor. They put me in the same yard as Northington, and they all knew it. And to this day, I'm still suffering from what they did.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay, July 25th, 2019. Kaboni Savage, come up and step on up and meet Philadelphia's only inmate on federal death row, everybody. Here he is. Absolutely. Kaboni Savage. That is him. He says that he's appealing his death sentence here. The U.S. Attorney General William Barr reinstated the federal executions, said he will do nothing to expedite the sentence. Just let it play out. Savage is the only inmate from Pennsylvania on federal death row, but he's not among the 5 scheduled to be executed as early as December 2019, according to the Department of Justice. Instead, Savage's lawyers, who didn't respond for a request to comment for this article, filed an appeal in the spring and now have until September to submit more paperwork. They're in the middle. They're not going to execute him in the middle of the, appeal process here. So they said that the Savage's enterprise dated back several years before the ultimate fall and big organization. And they said the federal death penalty is the law of the land, and the U.S. Supreme Court has found it constitutional. We owe it to the victims and their families to enforce the sentences imposed by our justice system after full and fair proceedings. So reinstatement of the federal death penalty comes 2 weeks after Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner filed a brief asking the Pennsylvania Supreme Court to rule the sentence unconstitutional because capital punishment historically targeted men of color. Yeah. But the decision McSwain has said that as a prosecutor, the only reason not to enforce the death penalty is political cowardice. Mm-hmm. So they're going back and forth on that. The issue remains divisive, obviously, at the state and federal level. The last federal execution at that point had been carried out in 2003. And basically, a lot of arguments for and against, and we know what those all are. So I don't want to pay for this shit. Put them in jail forever. I don't care. Period. That's it. That's my stance. Don't want to pay for this shit.
We're just not going to
but there's a dead kid.
What's the
don't
point?
Care. Yeah. Expensive. Unless that kid wants to pay for it or her family wants to pay to prosecute. I don't want to pay all this money to prosecute people when they're probably going to end up with life in prison anyway because the appeals process is such a fucking microscope, as it should be.
Yeah.
And anything that goes wrong, any little thing, they'll strike down the sentence, but not the conviction. So that's what happens.
And you got people in charge of commuting those who can use that chance to show how fucking human they are, and
whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter.
Whatever reason they want to do it, but they use it as a political tool all the fucking time.
Oh, all the time, yeah, or just anything else, but
one way or the
tool
other
for beliefs or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, how many small town murders have we had that the death penalty was? They were assigned the death penalty and it was overturned and they got, life in prison. It happened way more times than someone was actually executed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It absolutely does that. So August 14th, 2020, appeals court affirms the death sentence for him.
Okay.
So they do affirm it. It's ruling. A 3-judge panel in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit acknowledged that Savage's case was the first in nearly a century that the Philadelphia-based court has been called upon to review a rarely imposed federal death sentence on direct appeal, and that since then public debate over the punishment has shifted substantially. Still, Chief Judge D. Brooks Smith, writing for the Philadelphia-based panel in a 201-page opinion, said the court discerned no grounds entitling Savage to relief on any of the issues he raises. Mm-hmm. So that's one appeal down for him. One of Savage's attorneys called the ruling flawed and said it endorsed significant infringements on the rights of defendants facing capital punishment. In his statement, he cited one of the arguments the court rejected, that the trial court improperly decided to let Savage change lawyers during jury selection, then refused to grant a continuance, leaving his new lawyer unprepared to adequately defend him at trial. That's a tough one because that's come up a lot. They said no lawyer, no matter how experienced, could have rendered an adequate defense. Under the circumstances, it's inconceivable that the Court of Appeals could have been satisfied with that a death verdict was appropriate. I have to say. The judge should have either told Savage, you have to keep that attorney, but then he would have appealed on that grounds. Right. He should have granted the continuance if he wanted to keep this out of appeals territory, but he didn't. The appellate panel said, fuck it. That's it. The one guy here said, this is U.S. Attorney William McSwain, said that the crimes committed by Kaboni Savage were unprecedented in this district in their cruelty and horror. We recognize that much litigation likely lies ahead, and will remain steadfast and resolute in our pursuit for justice. So that is then 2024, January, U.S. Court of Appeals. This is going up the line. This is for the District of Columbia here. So this is well, which appeals? I'm trying to find out what circuit this is. For the seniors, doesn't matter. Anyway, this is okay, yeah, whatever. Either way, that's what they're doing. It's big federal appeal here. So he sues the Justice Department, claiming the Justice Department is imposing restrictions on his communications with family and friends in violation of his rights under the First Amendment of the Constitution. You don't have freedom to talk to your mother. That's not what the Constitution says.
And the freedom of speech, sure, unless it's incriminating, man.
Nothing bothers me more, for some reason, than people using that freedom of speech shit wrong.
Oh, that fucking shit.
When, like, if you say something stupid and a bunch of people attack you on social media and they're like, this isn't freedom of speech. Yes, it is. Are you in handcuffs right now? Unless it is, that's what freedom of speech is. It also gives the other people freedom to call you a fucking dickhole if they disagree with you.
And you can, you can say, I killed those people. If you killed those people and you say, I killed those people, that's still being used against you, even though you got freedom of speech. You also got freedom to tell the fucking truth. What are you talking about?
Freedom to do whatever. Well, he's saying that his First Amendment rights are violated because he can't talk to his friends from fucking federal prison.
No.
That's not what freedom of speech is.
Also, when
asshole.
you get arrested, you lose certain rights.
Freedom of speech is being able to go, that politician who's elected is a piece of shit and I don't like him and no one can arrest you. That's freedom of speech. That's it.
Not I killed those people. You killed those people and they arrested you and put you in jail for it.
Yes.
And once they did that, you don't get to talk to your family anymore.
No.
That's not it.
It's not it. And it means I can fucking do whatever religion I feel like doing and I can print something in the press that says something negative against somebody. That's freedom of speech. Nothing else.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
So whenever,
that's what that is.
Anybody who uses the words freedom of speech are always not using it correctly. They're always just, I don't want social pressure for the bullshit I say is what
not just that. I don't want consequences for the dumb shit I want to say.
I mean, social consequences.
Yeah.
So they said the appellant never completed the Justice Department's administrative remedy program for seeking relief from those restrictions. So they're like, why are you coming to us when there's a process for that you haven't followed? He's apparently at the U.S. Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility in Florence, the old Supermax there.
Colorado.
In Colorado, yeah. So I guess he goes back and forth for his deal here. In 2007, the Justice Department imposed Savage certain special administrative measures restricting his communications, because he was having people murdered that way.
Yeah.
Fuck. So anyway, that's what he's trying to say, that they're fucking me over. He said that the Justice Department has renewed his that arrangement since 2007 with modifications. The current restrictions he has prevent him from communicating with anyone outside the prison except his legal team and 7 named family members.
Okay.
His 3 adult children, the mother of one of his children, one of his sisters, and her 2 adult children. That's it.
Okay.
They said that now he's a Muslim imam and went to college, through which he's taking a correspondence course. For his approved family contacts, however, this limits him to a few pieces of paper correspondence per week and several 15-minute phone calls per month. They also these restrictions allow an FBI agent to screen his non-legal mail and to monitor all his non-legal calls and visits, which everyone assumes is going on if you're in jail anyway, unless it's your lawyer.
Right.
Savage wants to add more relatives and several friends to his list of approved contacts. So this has been going on since 2015. His lawyers have been trying to do this. That is 9 years of shit going back and forth. Wow, that is fucking crazy. Savage's attorney continued sending emails to the attorneys there each year asking for further modifications. The Justice Department did not respond to further emails from Savage's counsel, nor did it make any of the modifications requested in this way.
Yeah.
Which they don't have to. They don't have to. But they say, then they list there's a resolution form, so you can just fill this out. But in March 2021, he submitted a request for administrative remedy to the warden. So this is what he needs to do. His request reads, I haven't had a social contact added in approximately 10 years. I want more social contacts added, but my U.S. attorney and agent refuse to abide by policy. They intentionally keep refusing, denying any contacts. I have to exhaust these remedies to file my suit in the courts. The process to add and or delete contacts is an exercise in futility. My First Amendment rights are constantly being violated. I should be free to speak and to write all friends and family. It's racist and arbitrary and capricious.
And capricious.
And capricious. Racist and capricious. Normally you don't get those two in the same sentence. Well, you can't say it's racist and arbitrary at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you're saying there's a reason and no reason.
Yeah, right.
that doesn't make any fucking sense whatsoever.
It's relevant and irrelevant at the same time.
It makes no goddamn sense. So the warden responded. His response reads, a review of the records reveals that you have not submitted any requests for modification in several years, aside from 2 relatively recent requests to add an imam. Oh, that's it. And a college something. So, and they were approved, he said. So as approved contacts, an more expansive review of your current SAM, that's the restrictions, and previous versions revealed that it was modified in 2015 to allow communications between you and your niece and your nephew. You're encouraged to request modifications as appropriate, but basically no one has to give you shit and go fuck yourself is apparently what that is. So they go back and forth about how he didn't appeal this regional director and somebody said no and he should have appealed it and it was, that's his own fault that he didn't fucking appeal it and all this shit going on. The conclusion is the district court affirms his
hang in there.
Sentence of everything. Here are his charges that he's in for: murder in aid of racketeering, witness tampering resulting in death, conspiracy to commit murder in aid of racketeering, retaliating against a witness resulting in death, conspiracy to commit racketeering, using a fire to commit a felony, conspiracy to manufacture and distribute cocaine, money laundering, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, threatening a witness, threatening to retaliate against a witness, using a telephone to facilitate drug trafficking.
It's heavy.
Can't get enough of Kaboni Savage? Well, there's no merch for him whatsoever.
No. God, no.
But tell you what, motherfuckers, you can definitely read a lot about him right now because today, on December 23rd, when we're recording this, the day before Christmas Eve and all this, it'll come out next week, his death sentences federally have just been squashed.
Like 6 hours
Commuted 6 hours ago.
Wild.
Yes, Joe Biden has commuted his sentence for that.
Along with 36 others.
Yeah, the people left on there are like these church shooters and
Tsarnaev, the guy,
the terrorist people.
Yeah, bombers and fucking mass murderers in one place.
But Kaboni now we can stop with all this fucking appeals shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, I would like to see him killed. Probably, he's not a good guy. Kaboni, but not this. That's what I mean. This is one of these guys where I feel like I'd much rather just have him be stabbed a bunch of times. It's much easier.
Yeah, certainly not. Certainly not worth air and space and a cell.
No. And fucking, he's a piece of shit, this guy. But money. Yeah, that's the thing. So anyway, you won't have to pay for many more things with Kaboni Savage anyway. So. Yeah, you'll just have to pay for his food. That's pretty much it. Outside of that, no more fucking appeals and all that shit, because that shit would have lasted for the rest of time, these appeals. So there you go, everybody. That is Kaboni Savage, a two-parter. Insane. We did not obviously know his sentence would be commuted by presidential pardon when we started this episode. It was just a random thing, and it happened to. The timing is immaculate for us.
It's unreal.
We are lucky people when it comes to timing, and it happens this way all the time. Yeah. We put something out, and then something happens with it.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. I don't know, man, but definitely check out part 1 if you have not. Check out all the Crime in Sports, and definitely check out Your Stupid Opinions and Small Town Murder. And on top of that, if you like this show, tell everyone about it. Get on whatever app you're listening on and give us 5 stars. It really, really, really helps out a lot. And I don't know why, but it helps drive you up the charts. And it's really, really helpful. So thank you for doing that, everybody that has. Maybe do that for your Christmas present to us. It's nice and easy. So we're putting out product all week on Christmas week. How many other fucking people are putting out 5 shows on Christmas week? Nobody.
Not many,
Not many. Fucking us, I think, is about it. If any. We're the only asswipes doing that. So,
for the dumb.
Get back to us here. Also, shutupandgivememurder.com. Get your tickets for live shows. 2025 is all laid out, and those tickets are available. Pittsburgh, February 7th. You bastards are up first. Let's go. Get your asses in there. I don't give a shit if it's Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah.
They're gonna lose in the playoffs anyway, and it won't
Friday.
matter.
Who cares?
Yeah,
let's
party
just go
all
hang
weekend.
out.
Who gives a fuck? We'll hang out.
I'll put on a fucking Pittsburgh Penguins jersey and we'll go hang out.
Oh,
Let's do it.
I got many Pittsburgh jerseys, and I will fucking wear one of them happily. I'll wear a fucking Pirates hat. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'll wear a Mean Joe green. I don't care. We're going to be there. So get your asses in there and get tickets all for the rest of the time, too. Columbus is the night after that weekend. So we'll start out there. Get those. Shutupandgivememurder.com. You definitely want Patreon. Patreon.com/crimeinsports is where you get all of the bonus material. Anybody $5 a month or above. Man, my voice is going after we recorded like 3 shows today. So it's you can't talk for 9 straight hours and be good. So, yeah, definitely get in there. Anybody $5 a month or above, you get the entire back catalog of bonus episodes immediately upon subscription. It's hundreds of them. It's a huge, huge glut of shit. Then shit worth $5, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then you get new ones every other week, including this week, 1 Crime and Sports, 1 Small Town Murder, and you get it all, baby.
You get all of it, yeah.
This week, what you're going to get for Crime and Sports, back by popular demand. It's been a long time, been over 6 months, I think, since we did one. So personal ads time again.
You bet, yeah.
Dip back into the newspaper archives and see how people are trying to sell themselves to each other in the 80s and 90s. Yeah. So very fun shit. Then for Small Town Murder, a little bit about the West Memphis 3.
Yeah.
Basically, the whole beginning. How the fuck did this happen? How did we get to the point?
Why are we here? Yeah.
Where HBO needed to go to West Memphis to film people doing shit. Well, how did we get there? Yeah. Let's talk all about that. How did these kids end up even on the police's radar for no reason? We'll talk all about that and a lot more. That's patreon.com/crimeinsports. And you get a shout out at the end of the show, which comes right fucking now. Jimmie, hit me with the names of the most fantastic people who would never, ever, ever firebomb our children in their homes while they sleep. Jimmie, hit me with them right fucking now.
This week's executive producers are Jennifer Yates, Larry Butterfast. Happy birthday, Larry Bear.
Happy birthday,
Holy
Larry.
Shit.
Thanks for that Jameson, bro.
Jake Young, Jordan Bennett, and Simon. They're moving back to England. Did you know that?
Are they really?
They are.
Oh, shit. We won't see them anymore.
No. We'll
they
see them
come
once
down
in a
from
while.
Canada all the time.
Yeah.
That's all right.
They're going to pop over to a couple before
Different
they go.
weird accent. That's fine.
Courtney
Jadile.
Jadile. I'll bet it's still Yiddly.
Hey, yeah.
Erica Gerstenberger's sister, Sabina. I don't know her last name. Erica didn't give that.
Maybe it's Gerstenberger.
Wants us to know. Well, I think Erica's married.
We don't know.
We don't know. Also, Angie Pennington, Aaron Stevens, Christine Lewis, Ashley Williams, Tyler and Brittany Jones, and Crystal My Purdy Newland. Thank you all so much. You're fantastic.
Thank you.
Other producers this week are Linda Maroney and Harry Balzac. Probably not. You know,
I'm sure.
You get it.
Could be.
Or Linda's Harry Balzac. I don't know.
Maybe it's Linda. She's got a nice sack
Good
on her.
for you, Larry. Linda.
Larry Ballsack, we'll call her from now on.
Linda and Harry is Larry. All right. Peyton Meadows, Janice Hill, Natalie Austin-Baugh. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Jenna wanted us to tell you. Julia Reynolds is holding space, James. I don't know if you know, I'm very annoyed by that fucking, I don't even know what it means. It doesn't mean a fucking thing, and people have now begun saying it, and I want to choke people when they say it. It's the dumbest fuck. I'm holding space for that.
You sound like me now.
Fucking kick you. Roxanne Ewoks.
You're hanging out with me too much. I'll fucking kick you.
Probably. Roxanne with no last name, Ewok with no last name, Sassy, Apron Springs, Strings, got you, all right. Angelica Garpland, Seedorf, Lacey Ward, Derek 89, Claudia Berry, Nina with no last name, Jason Ogden, Aziz with no last name, Kadeem Hunt is another person, DNT, DN, not M, Renee Linton, Hannah Goodman, Danae Upshaw, MC118Z, Paul Simon, Jail, Jaji.
Oh, Paul Simon, very nice.
Jaji? Is this this? Oh. Did I not press enter and Jaji is another person? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Carrie Stewart, Rebecca with no last name, Michael Pettit, Jessica Keefe, Christopher Cox, Sinclair with no last name, Kelsey Lang, 810, Bill Vestrand, Nicole Huff, Lori with no last name, Bailey Gallops, Shellis, Shalee Turner, Renner. Chalet or Chalice?
Are any of these people holding space though, Jimmy?
I think all of them are holding space for us, and
I'm so glad you said that. By the way, in real life, Jimmy says shit like that all the time. On the show, he lets it slide off him. In real life, he's like, "I will fucking kick that person," and that's why I hang out with him. And he come on the show, and I sound like a psychopath, and he's like, "Yeah, that's crazy, man." I'm like, "Where the fuck are you? Where are you?"
It's just when people say things in my head,
I know.
Can't take it.
We talk about it all the time. Yeah. Well, this is our private conversations. Could you believe this fucking asshole? Those are every conversation we have. Sorry to interrupt you.
Bane Ross. John with no last name. Amberly Menge? Amberly Minge, maybe. Amberly and her Minge. I don't know.
Both of them?
Amberly might be a dude.
She's bringing her Minge with her.
Minge.
That's nice. Who knows?
Rose Bloom, Kristen S., Molly Crawford, Rena Dutt, Megan Bussing Todd, Kaiser Soze, Travis Hoffman, Jamie.
He's coming out of hiding.
Yeah, Jamie Amo, Delaney Ellison, I think. Maybe Delane. I don't know. Captain Zod, Joe Lynn, Julia Thompson, Archanti Hill, Nicole with no last name, Joyce with no last name, Jennifer Gasser, Deanna Katz, Helper with no last name, Ali with no last name, Mama Red 89, Michelle O'Coin, the Leaf Man, 77, Bernadette Danover, Shane Carl Rosini, Bernadette, Charmaine, Laura Edward, Nicole Winkler, Jablues, all right, Gary Keita maybe, Jake Yeager, Angelo Leonardo, Brian Atkinson, Liv the Kid, Francesca Curie, that's what that is. Austin Duncan, Lisa with no last name, Kat P. That's fantastic. Beatrice Rojas, Carrie Grooms Harvey, Joan. Oh, don't do that, Carrie. Joan Kemp, Christian Klepper, Martin Grubbs, Mark Roser, Lacey Johnson, Krista D, Adam Fellmeister, Jen T, Matt Smith, Patrick Newsom, Frank with no last name, Lori Harris, Carter Hayes, Mimi to Aver, and P. I don't know what that means. Mimi did something for Aver and P. Ollie with no last name, Michelle Phillips, Jacob Scrivener, Vane Ferry, Suzanne Moore, Jolie, Lair Fitzer, Pfizer, Shannon North, Pridge with no last name, Rach Adri, Zainab,
okay.
Espahani, holy fuck, Zainab. Jeff with no last name, Holly with no last name, Jamie Burns, David Gilbert, Brian Hilliard, Jared with no last name, Lori Taylor, Sean LaBouffe, Dellis Gribben, Chantel Johnson, Meredith Collins, Liz Wilson, Ryan with no last name, Rachel Canig, Audra with no last name, Sophie Warren, Blades, Lindsay Tatum Thompson, Annie McCormick, Alyssa Polselli, Brenna Botsford, Aileen Quatch, Monica Wemus, Harrison Ecott, Megan Alvarado, Rob Davis, Mary Peters, Amanda Neese, M4 CEO, Brian Smuck, Brenda Hugh, Crystal with no last name, Ashley Pasek, Gabby with no last name, Stephanie with no last name, Alex McCoggan. Oh boy.
McCoggan what? What do you put in your Coggin?
That's it. That's the last name. Alex McCoggan. McCoggan Alex. All right. Heather Jeter, Raymond, Remy V, Maxim Dinov, Tiffany Morovia, Nicole Ware, William Jackson, 843-230, Grayson, Sydney Tobias, Naomi Olison, April Capaccio, McConica, Monica Noakes, Danny Lee Tedder, Anna with no last name, Amy Ninja, Erica Davis, Chrissy B, Jenna Fortune, Sharon Mokum, Jessica Eastman, Brian Murphy, Sheila Jaggard, Adam Vines, Dave with no last name, Eric Sohn, Rashad Stanford, Mel with no last name, Callista Begley, Jacob Parker, Jessica with no last name, Danica Schoenfeld, Chelsea with no last name, Lauren Secco, Nate Thompson, Brittany Ernst, and all of our patrons. We love you.
Thank you so much, everybody. You fantastic, wonderful bastards for supporting us all year long. Thank you. If you're listening to this right when it comes out, early listening, Merry goddamn Christmas. If you're listening to it when it comes out regularly, Happy fucking New Year. There you go.
Have a great time, either celebration you have.
That's great. Thank you for everything you guys do for us, honestly. And we will be back with a lot more, a lot of crazy stuff coming up in the new year. China, Evil Knievel, lots of fun shit. Can't wait to see you for more Crime and Sports. Thank you so much, everybody. And live from the Crime and Sports studios, we will see you next year.
Bye.
If you like Crime and Sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.